Well, welcome to this interview. This is We have on the line with us Jason Gaston, and I'm your host Tim Mai. I'm really excited about this interview. Jason and I actually met a while back. It's been quite some times. Jason's doing some really great stuff out there in Florida, Tampa, Florida, to be more specific. And he is doing about 24 deals a year, half of which is wholesaling. The other half is either renovation or new builds, tear down and new builds. So, Jason, why don't we start with if you can share with everybody a little bit about yourself, how you get started in the business, how long you've been doing this, and we'll start from there.
Okay, well, I've been in wholesaling and being in a real estate investor for about almost 7 years now. Before I started actually in investing, I played with it for a while, I guess, just like on a side. I did a couple of rehab projects that I did before before I actually started the business. So a couple times we're actually lending money to a person who was building. At the time, this is before the market crashed during the boom. We would loan him money from our home equity line of credit for him to build the house. He would build it, and we'd split the profit. We did that a few times. Then the market changed, and that went away. So we kind of sat back, didn't do a whole lot, did a couple renovation projects, and then about 7 years ago, we decided I just decided to get serious and start a business. And we started out pretty quick. The first year, within the first month, we did 2 whole. So we kind of came out of the gate working hard. So, and from there, we just never looked back. And it kind of developed into different things. We started wholesaling, then went to renovation, and last year we started doing the new construction. So it kind of grew from there. But once we got started, we just never looked back. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. So you have just one partner in the business?
Right now, me and my fiance are doing it together. So.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, cool. And then, so share with us a little bit about your business model in terms of, like how do you decide when to wholesale the deal, when to renovate them, when to do the new build, and then we'll circle around into like how you find these deals.
Right. When it comes to wholesaling, the difference between whether we're going to wholesale something or renovate it sometimes depends on the neighborhood. If it's more of a rental neighborhood, a lot of times we tend to do more rehab to retail. So if it's in a more of a rental area, a lot of times we'll wholesale that. And we generally look to make about $30,000 profit on paper before we go into a deal. So if we can't maximize the profit, then a lot of times we'll wholesale that to a landlord or to someone else who is maybe not looking for quite the amount of profit as we are. So it depends on the neighborhood. And depends on the amount of spread that's in the deal for us to make on the rehab.
Gotcha. Okay, so if you don't, if you can't make at least 30 grand, then you go ahead and wholesale it out. And what would be your average, your typical wholesale fee or wholesale profit?
On average, for a wholesale deal, we make about $7,500 on average.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, all right. So if you don't make at least 30 grand, if you were gonna go through the entire process, rehab it. Then you go ahead and wholesale it, make a quick $7,500, move on to your next deal, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay, and then how do you decide when to tear it down and rebuild it instead of renovating it?
Well, for rebuilding, we look in specific neighborhoods. We typically do our new construction projects in Seminole Heights in Tampa, Florida, which is a historic area. So we'll buy houses that are built in the 40s and 50s. Tear them down and build them in the same style as 1920s bungalow, because that's what the popular style of house is in that area, the bungalow.
Right.
So instead of the 1920s house, you can't tear down because it's historic. The city won't let you. But if you buy a house on the same street in the same area that's built in the 40s and 50s, a lot of times you can buy it. Number one, you can buy it much cheaper. So we have room to buy it, tear it down, and rebuild. And the new construction is going for between $200 and $215 a square foot in that area of Tampa. So we create a spread we look for specific houses that don't meet the historic guidelines so we can tear them down and build new. And we're typically try to buy for $70,000 or less.
Gotcha. Okay. And I know you mentioned you only recently started that last year doing the new construction, but like what do you think based on how many of well, I guess what are your goals? Like how many wholesale deals you do a year, and how many renovation and how many new construction? What would your goals be?
Our goals, we typically like between the new building, the renovation, new construction. We try to do somewhere between 10 and 15 a year of those.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we're and the wholesaling comes because we typically our main business is the new construction and rehabbing. So we do wholesaling, but whenever we have a constant flow of leads. So if something doesn't work for a renovation or a new build, then we obviously wholesale that. So it's pretty even. We split it pretty even, 10 to 15 for each. 10 to 15 rehab or renovations, 10 to 15 wholesales. Try to be in that range.
I see. Okay, great. And so what does the infrastructure look like for you to be able to do that many deals? I mean, 10 or 12 or 15, renovation and new builds is pretty sizable, right? That's a lot of stuff going on.
Right.
So what does your team look like? How many people on your team? How do you outsource? Like I guess what are some of the things that your core team does versus your outsourcing people do? What does that look like?
What we do locally is I don't have a big team locally. So it's not like I have a huge. I work out of my home, so I don't have any type of office space or anything like that. So really, we get most of our leads where we're set up to where we get a lot of leads from referrals because we host real estate investment club meetings here locally.
Mm-hmm.
And we have actually in the Tampa area, we have 3 locations where we have meetings, and we get a lot of referrals. So a lot of our business is built off. I say a lot of times we talk about our team, but our team is built locally from our contractors to the title companies we work with. Everything. A lot of those team members are built around the networking events that we do because we gather a lot of those team members from those type of things.
Gotcha.
As far as outsourcing, we do outsource things to virtual assistants, research type things a lot of times.
Okay.
We have a virtual assistant who researches and pulls data from probate from this county for us, so we don't have to go to the courthouse and do it ourselves, and different things like that. They pull probates and quitclaim deeds and divorce with property attached. So we have VAs that do research type things like that.
Right. Okay.
And we use that to build our direct mail list to get deals also from that. So
gotcha. All right. Well, perfect. Let's go right into some of your marketing strategies. Obviously, direct mail is one of your marketing strategies. How many? And I know that doing these live events, networking and stuff that you also do. How many comes from, like, out of your 24 deals in a year? What would you say would be the percentage of, like, how many of those came from some kind of referrals or networking versus, coming from your direct mail?
I would say our direct mail, we focus on, a lot of people look at large lists, absentee, things like that. We focus more on smaller lists.
Okay.
So we don't send as many direct mail pieces as some people do because we do focus on those smaller lists.
Mm-hmm.
But we're probably out of 25 deals, 24, 25 deals, probably about 10 or so, around 10 to 12 will come from, it's really almost 50-50. 10 to 12 come from our marketing, 10 to 12 will come from our networking because we really, because networking includes the meetings that we have, and also we have students that we teach the wholesale, and then we teach them the wholesale. Many times they don't have to have a huge buyers list because we're kind of a built-in buyer for them.
Right.
So it's pretty much 50-50.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so great. So let's go into how you get people to refer you deals, how you get people to bring you deals. So yeah, let's talk about what are your process and systems there?
Okay. Well, as far as referrals, first of all, I use a business card. I call it a mini bandit sign.
Okay.
On the front, it has a marketing message. On the back, it says we'll give you, like Jason buys houses. On the back, it'll say we'll give you a $500 referral. So we build referrals by giving those out to everywhere we go.
Do you have a copy now that you can show it to us real quick?
I do. Let me see if I can reach out and grab it.
Okay.
Sorry.
That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, we use it's something like this.
Very simple. Okay.
And then on the back we use something like this.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
we pass those out everywhere we go. So we get a lot of referrals from that.
Wow. Okay.
And also, the biggest amount of referrals come from our networking meetings. We have a real estate investment. We call it Flip. The name of our group is Flip Savage.
Okay.
And we have 3 locations around Tampa. And so so through those connections,
Right.
we teach and help people to get started. And naturally, when you help people get started, naturally when they have a deal, the first person they come to are the leaders of the RIA groups.
Right.
So that's kind of a built-in referral system for us.
So why do you have 3 different locations? Like, how many meetings is that a month?
That's we have 3 meetings a month. They're every Monday. They're on the second, third, and fourth Monday of every month. And we have them. They're actually in different cities. One's is in a city called Brandon, which is just outside of Tampa, so it's in the Tampa area. And then we have one in the city south of us, which is Bradenton. And then we have one in Lakeland, which is a city. Actually, I personally live in Lakeland. But so we have 3 different meetings because they're kind of different areas.
I see.
And we're average about 25 to 30 people per meeting. And we focus, and we have different hosts for each meeting. And I personally host the Lakeland and the one close to Tampa. We have a different guy that hosts in Bradenton because I don't really do a lot of deals south, but he's focused there. So he gets a lot of referrals from that area, and we pull more referrals from the other areas because that's where we work.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I have my own group here in Houston, but we only do 1 meeting a month, and it's 1 location. We try to get everyone in Houston. Houston's pretty big too, but
Right.
we're trying to get everyone in Houston to come to that same place. So it's interesting that that you would do it in multiple places like that. Have you ever considered doing just 1 location, so that way you don't have to do as many, or what are your thoughts on that?
We've considered that. We're actually thinking about. We've always used a local area model. We're thinking about going to like a quarterly main meeting, and encourage everybody to come to one spot. But we feel that if you get right in the local area where people are at, then you get people directly in the neighborhood of the meeting, so it gives us a chance to find deals right in the local area. But in our meetings, also there's no paid fee for our meetings, so they can come as they want. We have a once a quarter we have a wholesaling boot camp, and we do charge for that. But as far as the regular meetings, they're just at local restaurants or things like that, where we can meet up and have a small group, and that allows us to touch more people and help people because it's a smaller group too.
Right.
Sometimes.
So you're about like making it convenient for them, and then keeping it small so that way you can have a stronger relationship with them.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Great. That's awesome. So how do you so the listeners listening in right now, if they were to consider sort of modeling after you and starting their own local meeting like that, share with us, number one, what are some of the benefits in starting a local group, versus if they just join one, right? Let's go into that first.
Okay. Well, as far as starting a local meetup, number one, if you start a local meetup and you host it yourself, then the first benefit is it positions you as the expert in the area. Because people naturally think of you as, if you're up teaching people how to do something, naturally people automatically look at you as an expert. So if you host your own meeting, it sets you up as the expert in the market. And once you're set up as that, people start to know that. And as your group grows and things like that, and we use a lot of to fill up our groups. We put bandit signs out about free real estate training. And we also use a lot of Facebook events and advertisements to fill up our meetings. But when you do that, especially online, people get used to seeing you. So you become the expert, and then the referral. That's where you start getting referrals, because number one, people appreciate that you're taking the time to teach them,
Right.
especially when it's not a paid event. They appreciate you taking time to actually stand up and teach them.
Right.
And in return, they're going to bring you deals because you've already helped them. And we don't get into helping people just because we can get those referrals. But that is a product of it. So
Gotcha.
the amount of referrals you get and the expert status you get from hosting that meeting. That way, a lot of your deals, because a lot of times people rely heavily on marketing. But since we have this local model and get the referrals, we don't have as much overhead in marketing expense because of referrals we're getting. But probably the best benefit is just it positions you as the expert in the market,
Right.
which sets you up to bring in those referrals and to help other people locally.
Right. So what if you only recently started this business, or maybe not too recent, maybe you're in it for 6 months, 12 months, so you don't necessarily see yourself as some, expert, right, and know a lot of stuff. How can you still have these meetings and still make it work?
If you're just starting out, a lot of people think that well, there's no way I can be the expert, because when I first started these meetings myself, actually before I actually started, because I'd done it for a few years before I actually started meetings.
Okay.
But someone said, "Why don't you host a meeting?" And my response was, and he actually, because he hosted a local one himself.
Yeah.
A friend of mine here locally is also an investor, and he said, "Why don't you?" So he asked me, he said, "Why don't you host a meeting?" I said, "Well, I've been doing it for a couple of years." So I was kind of the same way. I don't know, who am I to say I'm an expert? But then he asked me, he said, "Well, how many deals did you last month?" And I told him 3 at that particular time. He said, "How many people do you know personally, besides some of the big players in the market, that are doing 2 or 3 deals a month?" I said, "Well, I can name a few." He said, "Well, you'd be surprised how many." He said, "If you know how to go through the process of wholesaling a property, and you do it consistently," he said, "whether you think you're an expert or not, you're getting it done. And anyone who's actually out there working it. So if you're brand new and you've started working, you got a few deals under your belt, then it doesn't take much. I mean, once you know the process, and because once you've done it, you can teach it.
Right.
So don't be so quick to discredit yourself.
Right.
Because if you're out there consistently doing deals, then you're doing something right. Because a lot of people struggle and never get to that point.
Right.
And quit before they ever get there. If you're consistent, regularly do deals, then you have to have more. You got to give yourself a little more credit. You got to have more confidence in yourself. So it's kind of when it comes to that, it's kind of a mindset thing. You got to decide that that if I'm out here doing it, then I can be a leader and I can help teach others. So my mindset changed once I saw people were actually coming out to listen to me speak.
Right.
And I realized, after a while, people come out, "Oh, thank you for hosting this meeting. We appreciate you putting it on." And between social media and things like that, people saying things about, like, for instance, I told someone who moved out of the area, used to come to one of our local meetings all the time. I gave him a happy birthday wish on Facebook, and in return, he posted something on the wall and said, "Hey, Jason, I want you to know I don't live in the area anymore, but I used to come to your meetings, and I'm just getting started. I'm working on my first renovation project."
Nice.
Here where I'm at. So even though that didn't directly affect me as far as monetary, but it caused someone else to be successful, and he's in a completely different area now, but he appreciated what we did.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of rewards from it, but you gotta have confidence in yourself and believe in your own abilities.
Right. Yeah.
It's a mindset thing.
Yeah, and I love how you said it. It's like, once you do one, even if you just do one deal, you knew how to get one, like,
if you did that, you can do it again, and you can teach somebody else.
Right, exactly. And also too, like, even at our meetings, a lot of time we bring in other experts to speak as well, so that way, people don't have to hear from us like over and over again every month, right? So
we do the same. We have like our local title agent will come and speak, different things like that. Sometimes we'll have a broker who specializes in short sales, and they'll talk about that. So we do have guest speakers too, from time to time locally, because after a while it would get old if we were the same person all the time speaking at it. So we do the same. We try to bring some speakers in.
Right.
I like once a quarter bring someone in besides us.
Okay. So at these meetings, what do you say to, like I guess, how do you set people up? What do you say to have them bring you deals?
Well, a lot of that, I'll teach them and also tell them, at meetings, if you have a deal, and I'll make my personal email available to them. If you have a deal, feel free to shoot me a text or send me an email. So I'll make statements like that. And also we, through, of course, the meetings, we have a sign-up list. So we get people's name, email address, and phone number. Mm-hmm. And we'll send emails out. For instance, we have like a property locator page. So we'll send an email out to direct them to that page. So if they have deals, they can put their information right there.
Okay.
And add those to, that way it's there so we can analyze those deals for them.
Gotcha. Okay. So that page and that website, I guess, how do you, like filter or screen out, tire kickers, so that way you are working with like real deals, people who are actively looking for deals, and just not like waste your time with
Right. Well, it's hard to filter all of that out. Obviously, you're gonna get that sometimes, but a lot of times what we do is we'll have a VA to sort through those leads, and based on the response, if they, because some people just go in and they'll just throw an address and there's no information. But and we'll encourage people that when they fill all the information. So we ask them to fill out property address. We ask them to take pictures of the house and the houses that are surrounding it. We ask them to actually try to do some work on maybe look at the county records to see if they can find who the owner is. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of sometimes those deals will be vacant properties, things like that. And we also steer them away from bringing us properties that are bank owned, because a lot of times they're not on the market yet, things like that. So you'll go buy a vacant house, just got the stickers in the windows. We don't necessarily focus on that, but we give them a few pointers to try to teach them things to look for, and then we have a VA kind of pre-screen the things come in to make sure we're looking at the ones that are really we have the information there to really move forward and make something happen.
Right. That's awesome. Okay. And then, so you mentioned out of this process, you also do a seminar boot camp once every 3 months, right? Once a quarter. And then from there, you bring on mentoring students and have them like do deals with them, or?
Correct. We'll have that quarterly wholesaling boot camp. It's on a Saturday, we have a 6-hour class, and we provide lunch for them, things like that. And from there, we'll find out of a group of, and we only allow like 20 students. We try to keep it small. So quarterly we have 20 attendees, and maybe 2 or 3 of those will be interested in being mentoring students also. So yeah, we do pull from there to bring on mentorship students.
Gotcha. And then your mentoring students, are they required to do a certain amount of deals with you, or it's all up to them?
We usually require them to do at least 3 deals directly with us.
Okay.
And usually they're happy to do that because they already know that. So when they find deals, they know you can help them analyze it and make sure they're offer, because we'll even recommend the offer price to them, things like that, to build in room for them to be able to sell it to us or wholesale it. So generally, the first 3 deals we have them do with us, and after that, we leave it up to them. Although a lot of them still come back and do deals with us even after that.
Right. Okay. So you primarily teach them how to wholesale deals, and then have them bring you the deals, and you buy them and rehab them or whatever
Right. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay. All right, and then our Facebook Live here just got disconnected for sometimes the wireless connection. I guess is very picky. But anyways, we'll keep that rolling. We'll try to connect. Besides obviously one of the benefits is people bringing you deals through these meetings. Right. What about private lenders to fund your renovation deals or new deals? Are you able to find them through these meetings as well?
Yes, correct. The new construction, right, currently we have 9 projects going on. We have 5 new construction and 4 renovation projects, and probably 7 out of 9 of those, the private lenders that we use came directly from the meetings that we host. and they're regular attendees, and they come even though they're already successful. A lot of them are successful investors themselves, or they're older and they're not active doing projects and they won't lend their money.
Right.
So 7 out of 9 of the projects we currently have now our lenders come directly from the meetings that we host.
Gotcha. Okay. How do you extract them out? How do you know who's the private lender? What are you saying to them, to find those people from within the meetings?
Well, usually in each meeting I'll introduce myself, and we have a co-host at each meeting, and we'll have everybody introduce themselves in the room. And so sometimes we'll learn the fact that they do that, that they're willing to do that from introducing themselves. But also there are people that come to those meetings they're not necessarily interested in doing the active real estate investing. And through networking and speaking with people, you find out what their experience is, if they've done any real estate deals, and just general building a relationship, building rapport with those people. I always tell people when it comes to building private lenders, whether it's from a meeting or in general, if you just consistently talk to people and tell them what you do, then naturally you'll find people, because you never know who the person is who has an IRA or something like that, where they have some money sitting there not collecting much interest, where they can get more return on their money. So a lot of times they'll identify themselves just by standing up and introducing themselves.
Right.
But we also I try to make it around and speak to every person at the meeting, and I just have a general conversation with them about have you done any deals? Are you new to real estate? What are you interested? Are you interested in buy and hold? And I'll just give them a little bit about what we do and say we also provide opportunities for people who do have money to lend, and we give them a minimum of 3 months interest always, to make sure, even if our project finishes quicker than that, we want to make it worth their time to get in there, and 10 to 12% interest. And we just present that to them, because a lot of times people are getting, if they got money in the bank or an IRA, they're not getting anything close to 10, 12% return. So if we can provide that for them, we're providing something a lot better than what they're currently getting.
Right. That's awesome. Okay. And then, so, I take it that, like, with them introducing themselves and there's other people in the room, are you not concerned at all about others competing with you for these private lenders' money?
Well, I guess that could happen, yes. But we don't generally tend to look that much at competition. It's a lot of people. I think that's a mindset thing, because in our area here in the Tampa area, there are a lot of investors, and it's very competitive. But I don't look as people as my competition. I look more as like someone who we can work together with, because it's easy for me to say this and that, but when it comes to it, there's enough houses out there, and there are enough lenders out there for us all to be successful at this. So instead of looking at them as competition, I look at them as an opportunity, because they may be my competition, but at the same time, sometimes they buy our properties that we wholesale. Sometimes we buy from them. So instead of having a mindset of I'm getting competition,
right,
I have more of a mindset there's plenty of deals out there for everybody. So I'm not going to try to keep it all to myself. A lot of people would refer to that as something like like an abundance mindset.
Right.
Think of like you're protecting yourself, but there's enough deals out there for everyone.
Right. Yeah, like collaborating instead of competing, right? So, great, awesome. And then, what other kind of people come to your event that are powerful or that are great resources for you in your business?
Right. Well, we obviously regular attendance to our meetings are some real estate agents. We have a title company. We actually have sponsors. That's another way we keep the meetings going. And a lot of times our sponsors are title companies, things like that. So I have, over the years, I've found a lot of the team that we work with currently have came directly from those meetings. So there are a lot of different contexts. There's wholesalers come to those meetings, hard money lenders come to those meetings, private individuals who live in money come to those meetings, with title agents, real estate agents, contractors, all different type of real estate related people come to the meetings. People that provide insurance, things like that. So we've built a lot of our teams directly from those meetings, and not only have we built it, but if people who are locally come to meetings actually take time to talk to people, network, then they can build their team a lot of times with some of the same team members that we use, because they're locally at the meeting. So we have a lot of different connections that we make at those meetings.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what would you say, what are some of your tips for someone wants to, get from maybe, doing 1-2 deals into doing like what, doing 20 something deals a year like you do. What are some of the tips what are some of the tips you have for them?
Oh, to increase their business? I would say the way we've increased our business over the years is we are very active networkers. Even before we started our own meetings, I went to local real estate meetings and built my team from going to other people's meetings. So a real key, I'll tell anybody, a real key to building your business is being a good networker, knowing how to talk to people, how to introduce yourself, and how to present yourself in a way that makes people want to do business with you.
Right.
So that, and also whatever marketing you're doing, a lot of people do bandit signs, people do direct mail, but whatever you're doing currently, be consistent. And a lot of people that can't seem to jump from a couple deals to a bunch of deals, a lot of times they'll do a couple deals, but they'll immediately spend that money on something else because they're not used to getting a $10,000 check or whatever from a wholesale deal. But in the beginning, when you do those deals, you need to put a bunch of that money back into networking and marketing because that's what fuels your business.
Right.
So I would recommend people, as you do deals, make sure you reserve enough funds to start increase your marketing and the time that you network to increase your number of deals.
Gotcha.
So my biggest tip is, be out there networking so people in the area know who you are. We used to put up about 250 bandit signs a month. We don't do that as much now. We rely more on direct mail. But what we did then is we branded ourselves. I put my name on a thing, put Jason Buys Houses, and I was starting going to networking meetings and introduce myself, and they say, "Are you the Jason that has these signs all over town?" So we were very consistent with that. So over time, we kind of people, because of that, I come to me and people know who I am because of the signs. So you got to brand yourself something to make you stand out from everyone else also.
Right.
So network, allocate funds back into the business, and find a way to brand yourself so that people recognize who you are.
That's awesome. That's great. Great tip. So one of the questions that we ask people on this call, like like part of this interview, is we're rolling out this program called the Heroes Alliance, and as to me, like all entrepreneurs are heroes because of the commitment that we are for our family, our clients, our students, like all people around us, right? Mm-hmm. Do you see yourself as a hero?
Do I see myself as a hero? I think that's that might be for other people to ask. A hero, I don't know. Do I try to help other people and get started? Mm-hmm. Yes. But as far as actually looking at myself as a hero, I don't know about all that.
Right.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
But more than focus on being a hero, I just try to focus on helping people, other people, because whatever you put out there is going to come back. It's going to come back even more. Right. So the more you help, the more it comes back to you. Not that you're looking for something back, but when you get out there and help people, there are people out there who appreciate that, and there are students who we work with who had never had any experience in real estate, and now they're out there doing deals. Just from the relationship either of being a direct mentorship client or of just coming to the meetings. They found a way to be successful just from learning from the tips. I like the idea of people out there who are actually successful because we've had a hand in trying to help those people.
Right. Yeah. Well, so we came up with this acronym for the word hero, and it stands for hardcore entrepreneurs who believe in getting rich by enriching others. And so everything you're talking about right now is definitely, the embodiment of that. So in my eyes, you're definitely a hero. So thank you so much, Jason, for all of like everything you shared with us today. I enjoyed this interview a lot, learned a lot from you. So thank you so much. Now, for the people who are watching live or watching the recording of this, and they want to reach out to you, get connected with you, how where do you want to send them?
Well, what I do is I have a free video series. It's a case study of a deal that we've done.
Okay.
I call it $0 to $25,000 in 14 days because it's a wholesale deal. We make some quick money.
Oh, nice.
But if they can go to FlippingFreedom.com and enter the email address, they can get that video series.
All right.
It teaches them. It's a case study, shows them A to Z how we did that deal. So they can go to FlippingFreedom.com, enter the email address, and they'll get connected through it for that. Also, they can look me up I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm on Twitter. They can also find me there. But I encourage them to go and get the free video series. It's there, something they can learn from.
All right, perfect. I love that. All right, cool. Well, so we're gonna wrap up this interview. Do you have like any, I guess, what would be your last message that you want to leave with everybody before we say bye here?
First thing I like to say is, if anybody's out there just getting started, don't quit. Be determined. Sometimes things don't happen quite as fast as you'd like them to, but if you're consistent and you're consistently putting out effort, then it's going to come back to you. Some things are going to start happening. So don't quit too soon, and whatever you're doing, be consistent at it. Find something, real estate, whether it be your marketing campaigns, whatever, and whatever you're doing, be consistent with it, because unless you're consistent, you're never going to build a business off of inconsistency. So be determined, don't quit, be consistent, and just have a mindset of you can accomplish anything. Because most people are in their own way. It's in their own head. Mm-hmm. So if you get past that and correct your mindset and be determined and know that you can accomplish great things if you put your mind to it, then anybody can do great things. Anybody can be an entrepreneur if they're determined, consistent, and if they just keep at it consistently and have the right mindset, we can accomplish anything. Anybody can.
Perfect. Awesome. All right, Jason, thank you for this awesome interview. Definitely let's keep in touch. And I'm sure
Absolutely.
I'm gonna say thanks, from all the listeners, all the viewers of this interview as well. So thank you so much, buddy.
Thanks, Tim.
Happy investing.
You too. Bye.